Alongside us now, Eddie Hearn has just joined us after what we've seen in the ring this evening. And Eddie, just your initial thoughts and reaction to what has just happened.
Well, gutted, obviously. You know, we've been here before, but this time we're here against a pound-for-pound great fighter. So the Ruiz defeat was difficult to take because it was a shock to the system. This is one we knew could happen if he didn't get it right, and he didn't get it right. You know, I don't think AJ boxed a great fight tonight, but Usyk boxed an excellent fight. And, you know, it was all the things that we worried about in the fight before, potentially the overthinking, potentially the trying to stand and box with him. And he took too many shots early. Usyk went through the gears. He was a little bit more aggressive than I thought he would be. And he was the deserved winner tonight. You know, I thought 8-4, even if you were being super kind, 7-5. But there was no question Oleksandr Usyk deserved the victory.
When did you realise there was a problem, Ed? When did you realise? It wasn't walking out. You're not
No,
it was once
look,
the bell's down.
You know, when he lost in New York, everyone started analysing, you know, the ring walk, the change room. He was fine. He's been fine all week. He's had a great camp. I mean, probably too relaxed. He's coming in, he's shaking everyone's hand, he was hugging a few people. That's just AJ. I don't think, you know, but it's you know, I just feel that the performance, it was the wrong type of performance. You know, I think sometimes you've got to use your attributes. You know,
Put dents in him.
But you've got a guy here to the right in Carl Froch. You know, if Carl Froch went out and tried to box, you know, a really slick mover with great feet, sorry, Carl, you'd come off second best. The only way to do it is to actually get stuck in and let your hands go. Sometimes you can't do it. Andre Ward is a great example. And
you're exactly right, and he is like the Andre Ward nightmare. He really is. But sometimes you have to have it. And what we was debating here earlier, the sheer size advantage and the reach and the 19 pounds in weight that Anthony Joshua had. We wanted to see him just impose that and use that advantage at some stage. Do you think that was Usyk just too good and too clever, or did AJ just not really get going, never got...
He never really got going, and I felt like, you know, all the conversations with him backstage now, and he'll go to hospital. I don't know if he's broke his eye socket. It doesn't look great, but I just feel that, you know, when you go back to Bellew's comments about overthinking and mentally draining you and fatiguing you with your feet, and, you know, it's like these last 3 or 4 days, you start thinking, you know, it's like you get spellbound by Usyk, don't you? Like, oh, he's this good, you know, and you end up giving him too much respect. Yeah. And I think that was a problem. I think he gave him too much respect.
He followed him around, he allowed Usyk to move him around, and then those last 3 or 4 rounds, you've got to take your hat off to Usyk. I know you praised him right at the top, but he finished that round there like a champion.
I mean, listen, I felt that, you know, he started extremely well in the fight. AJ come back in the fight, and at 8 or 9 rounds, I'm thinking, you know, if we finish well here, we've got a chance in the fight.
Towards the middle rounds, he was marking him up, he was going to the body, AJ was, and then he stopped doing it.
But then also, you know, he said he couldn't see after the 9th round. Obviously, he was getting tagged a lot as well. His power looked like it left him as well, AJ, because he looked like his tank was empty.
Drained out of him.
And then once you get to 10 or 11 rounds, I actually felt that there was a chance that Usyk could stop him there, because I could see in the 11th and 12th, Josh, the tank was well empty. And it was only Hart that actually kept him on his feet in the 12th round, you know.
Absolutely. Maybe Usyk was thinking about potentially the rematch. And maybe if I'm going to fight you again, I'm just going to let you know. and you know, it's very early to talk about a rematch, but that's going to be the questions.
Of course. And you know, look, I think when you get to this stage in your career, he's already talking about a rematch now. The first thing he said was, I know I can beat him. I know exactly what I've got to do. There's
just when he was walking back with him.
In the changing room just now, you know, but you talk about the rematch. Doing it is something very different. Again, not because Carl's here. Like the Andre Ward fight, if you went back into the rematch, you know how to beat him. It's just actually with exercising.
You learn something every single round you fight. When you fight a 12-round fight like that, that would bring Anthony Joshua on so much. He would have learned an immense amount in there. Whether or not he can do anything about it in a rematch.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? But I just, you know, for me, knowing AJ, knowing the position he's in, knowing that he will have a shot to get his belts back, there is absolutely nothing else he will do other than rematch.
And you know, Eddie, of course, right now, the adrenaline is just going through him, isn't it, right now? And for you, how much time would you give him right now to even think about what the next steps are?
Well, the other thing he said was, I'm not going on holiday, I'm going straight back to the gym. This is not a good idea, you know, and you could make loads of excuses. I don't know what excuse could be made. He's been training since December for Tyson Fury. That fight fell through, but there's no excuses. He had a great camp. He had great sparring. He was in great condition. He got beat by a better man. And there's no point beating yourself up about it. Sometimes you just have to take it on the chin and say, in sport, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. When you lose, you shake someone's hand and you say, congratulations. I go back to the drawing board, I improve, and I come back stronger. Now, will coming back stronger be good enough to win that rematch? He will have to make fundamental changes. He will have to box differently in the fight. but he shared the ring with him now, like Carl said, and he will have taken a lot from that. And there were times when, Usyk started to get marked up. I think it was around 5 or 6 rounds. I thought, you know what, I think he's going to get to him. He looks a bit tired. He looks marked up. He's got cut, but he just couldn't impose himself. I would have liked to see him be more aggressive. But, I sort of said that in the changing room. And he was like, look, you can't just dive in with these guys like Chisora did. But, ultimately, the way to win this fight in the rematch will be to be more aggressive and to assert himself on Usyk earlier. We're already debating the rematch. We should have a little rest, really. But
Oleksandr Usyk came out to no easy way out. When was the last time?
No, Joshua did. Joshua did.
Sorry,
that was when you beat Butte, and when I heard the choice. How have we ended up talking about Carl Froch?
He's already done
that song. 70,000 here. You're joking. Let me ask you this, Ed, and I've seen you after some fights when we've had a good run. Then when I saw you after Ruiz. I talked to you after Ruiz. You seem a bit sort of shocked now. You look a bit sort of.
I'm okay, Steve. Listen, I was well shell shocked with Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, of course we all.
But I knew tonight that if he didn't get it right, and Usyk boxed well, Usyk would win.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I'm not walking around there saying,
how'd that happen?
I just can't believe it.
He understands the game.
Yeah, but
around boxing now.
I believed AJ would win tonight. But of course, and I just hope people give him the credit for fighting Oleksandr Usyk. He could have vacated the belt, as many do, and say, oh, you know what? No, we're going to take another route. We're going to do this. He went, no, I want to hold my belts. I want to defend my throne. So give him the credit. You can't have it both ways. You take easy touches, you don't get the respect. You take hard touches and lose, get the respect you deserve.
Yeah, we said exactly that just before you joined us, Eddie. Is it going to be an immediate rematch, or is there going to be something in between? What are you looking to?
Honestly, Ron, I just can't see AJ taking a 10-round easy. The guy boxes twice a year at the moment. That might be something we need to look at as well. But actually, for me, he's going to go away. He'll have a few weeks off, and all he'll do is think about Oleksandr Usyk. So he's a fighter. He'll be thinking, how do I beat him? How do I improve? He's obsessed with improvement. I think when he watches the performance back, he'll be disappointed with the performance. I don't think at the moment he's really accepted that it wasn't a great performance from him. He gives Usyk respect and he deserves it. But I just feel there's so much more from AJ in that fight. But he'll have to do a lot more in the rematch to be victorious.
Okay, Eddie, you know what? We're going to let you go. You're a busy man. Thank you so much for stopping to talk to us here. BBC Radio 5 Live, Steve Bunce, Carl Froch, Ronald McIntosh. This has been a night to remember. You've been at AJ's first defeat in New York, Steve. How does this compare to what you saw back then?
I kind of agree with Eddie in some ways, in that we knew this could happen here. But I think what shocked me here, not as shocked me as much as Ruiz, because that was a one-off, Jeanette. But what shocked me most here was just the fact that the performance itself. It was the style of the performance. It was the repeated, repetitious rounds. It was that. It was just that it lacked that something. I've tried to tell people all week on 5 Live a dozen times, maybe even more. I've said, look, this is not a warm-up for the Tyson Fury fight. This is a really hard fight. Take Tyson Fury out of the equation, and this is an incredible heavyweight fight. This is hard. What shocked me most here was that he went through the 12 rounds and he didn't try certain things. And we're disappointed, and at least Eddie has said there that he expects AJ to be disappointed. Once he sits down and looks at it again.
Well, the great thing about boxing for me, it's got such a long, rich history that we can make comparisons and analogies. Perhaps the greatest professional never to win a world title, Sam Langford, who campaigned all the way from lightweight up to heavyweight, the Boston Bone Crusher. He said, quite simply, you box a fighter and fight a boxer. Now, Anthony Joshua was in the ring with a master boxer tonight, and he attempted to box him. So he boxed the fight that put all of the chips in favour of the man he was facing. Again, he's got Robert McCracken in his corner. It's a fantastic team, full of experience, but when they examine that, I think they're going to be asking questions about how he executed the game plan that he tried to implement.
Brilliant stuff. And Carl, for you, your final thoughts on what has been quite a different night here in North London?
Well, it's a bit of a shock, not a complete shocker, but certainly an upset in the boxing world. We all expected Anthony Joshua to defend his title, and show the cruiserweight king Oleksandr Usyk that he doesn't belong in the heavyweight division, but we've found out that actually Usyk does belong in the heavyweight division because he's just decrowned our king, and it's a massive shock, massive defeat. It's not one that I don't think Anthony Joshua could come back from. He can certainly come back, but I think the immediate rematch for me, I don't think that's the right thing to do. Maybe he's going to have to, like he did with Ruiz, jump straight back in there.
He will.
But I mean, I'd like to see him find his feet, but at this level, and that happens to you, you have to go straight in there, and that's the only way you're going to get your belts back. He's got the rematch, he's got to execute that right. But fantastic night, fantastic performance from both men. They're both fit, well and healthy. We'll find out if Anthony Joshua's injured, but has to be said, what a fantastic night of boxing.
It was a brilliant night of boxing, and Eddie's right. You know, AJ's going to walk away from this, and all he's going to think about is Usyk. You know, we can't think about Fury, we can't think about anybody else. No. Now he's just trying to get those belts back for the second time, Steve.
And he will be in the Finchley gym with John Oliver. In fact, on the way into the ring, he stopped to shake hands and to kiss John Oliver's partner. That's the guy that started him off all those years ago. He'll be back in the gym on Tuesday or Wednesday, hoping he hasn't got an orbital damage. And he'll look at it and he will analyse it, and he's brutally honest, AJ. He'll look at that and he'll make a decision, and he'll say, I didn't perform. I followed him around. I did all of the things I was told not to do. All the things I was warned against, I did. And he'll be bitter. The key word here seems to have been disappointment. We've all used it in different terms. And I think AJ might even use the word himself. I think he's honest. He'll be disappointed with that performance. Nothing to be disappointed when he got knocked out by Ruiz. He got hit on the chin 2 seconds after he dropped Ruiz. Can't be disappointed in that. That happens. But I think he'll be disappointed with that tonight. I'm convinced he will, in fact.
Well, what a night here in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So it's a good night from me, Ronald McIntosh, Carl Froch and Steve Bunce, on a night that we have seen Anthony Joshua lose all of his heavyweight belts for the second time. Potentially a rematch pending. But from us here, good night from Tottenham. And next up is Mark Chapman with the Ryder Cup.